Welcome, everyone, to Enlightened Masculinity. This is a podcast about masculinity, about enlightenment, about all that good shit. Being a modern, mystical man is not easy. We need spokesmen. We need guidance. We need a language for what it is to be a modern, mystical man in just an ocean of chaos, let's call it. So I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD. I'm going to be giving you my opinions and from my experience, from my awareness. And so be an adult. Take it as an adult. Process it. Let it see if it works in your life. I am the founder of Ninth Limb Yoga. It's a new path to the same mountaintop as all the yoga methods of old. But this path emphasizes communication. This is the ninth limb, is communication. I'm also the author of many books, host of many podcasts. You can see how my ninth limb manifests, books and podcasts. And I also travel the world teaching yoga. And don't let it fool you. I'm not your typical yogi. And just to exemplify that, I decided to get a PhD. And so I have a PhD in the normal universities. And so take that for what it is. I love showing up for Enlightened Masculinity. And one of the reasons is my co-host, because we have common values and we have a common language for the experience of what we're going to be talking about today, which is personal development. My host is a biotech research analyst for the biggest drug lords in all the world, New England Big Farm. He's also a registered yoga teacher himself and starting a yoga following there in Montclair, New Jersey, called the Rising Suns. Welcome to the show, Mr. Akash Inti.
Brother, super excited to be on right now and see you in Los Angeles at our brother BC's house right now. Really excited to hear more about what you guys have been up to and such as well. But I'm juiced right now. Talked a bit earlier about self-control. And it seems like we've been going on some topics about where is everyone in their evolution and discovery right now. These types of words are super important to get a better sense of what's going on within and without, and really to help align other brothers and sisters, how to align this kind of where they see themselves in their highest version and where they are now, and make sure that that's properly aligned such that they're able to evolve at record pace. So I turn it back over to you, brother.
Yeah, so we made a call out to the audience. What are some 2 or 3 words that describe your themes of, what you're going through right now? I don't remember mine. What was that? Self-image. It's where you're innovating right now. So self-image, my tonality, awareness, and communication techniques. And it sounds absurd because I've been studying communication for years. I have modules in my Silent Flute online program, just like techniques. And it's like, communication is huge. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of words in the dictionary. So many different colors to your voice tone. So many combinations of tones and words. Then you add body gestures, facial expressions, eye expressions, and then another fucking person. 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. Public speaking is what we talked about in the other podcast the other day. It's near infinite possibilities, but most don't work. Most won't get you the effect that you want. Only a narrow few get you the effect you want. You got to be a scientist about this shit. And otherwise, you can be yin about it. What would be yin about it? Yin would be programmed by your upbringing, be programmed by your conditioning, receive how to be from others. Now, we all did this because as a child, undoubtedly, I was much more yin than yang. Mom was taking care of me, dad was whoever was taking care of me. I received how to be from them, and it left the impression, even though it's spelled impression. I get it. I'm a PhD, guys, but impression. And at some point, as I grew up, I took responsibility for all of my impressions and I expressed them. And
that's
go ahead. Yeah, where I would go with that, I don't know. I think that was super.
Yeah.
In itself, so I'll just kind of hand it over to you, Akash. What do you think?
And no, that's exactly it. It's understanding that. So students are inherently yin, teachers are inherently yang.
Yes, child.
child student, or child student, same thing.
Yeah.
Teacher parent, same type of thing. It's that some type of masculine force gives to a feminine force. The feminine force receives it, and in turn, one day will become the masculine.
Yeah,
And
growth.
right. And what is it that they continue to pass on and teach to others or express to others is very, very important. We have the ability to change, though, the things that we've received from, maybe it was a negative thing that you had received. We have the ability to transmute this into a positive. So just because you received some type of energy doesn't mean that you need to hold that and express that energy. We have the ability as alchemists to transmute this energy and change it into what we'd like it to be. And so there's techniques to go about doing this and such. And Yogi Chris goes through many of these in his Silent Flute program itself, which I highly, highly recommend you guys sign up for. But the idea being that you're able to change these, fine tune and rewire your mind or ideas that you've been given, and have them where they may have once been a weakness for you. You can fine tune that back into a strength, which is incredible. And I've seen our teacher do this, Arash. He's talked about this many a times, as what one may seem as a weakness, he refines and tunes into a strength, and in incredible ways. So.
Yeah. And it's a good indication, like the words you use to describe your current state. Brian released a video. He did a video with me on his YouTube about cold calling, which I'm going to get much, much better at. I only called like 100 numbers this week. It sounds pathetic. When I even say it out loud, I'm like, damn. And I know I was traveling Monday, but come on. My apprentices have done hella work to create a massive call sheet for me. I can at least call 50 numbers a day, So next week, look for that. And the week after that, look for it even more, 75 numbers a day, whatever it takes. While I'm here I'm only here another week, I think. Okay, so just next week. Then I go back to Florida and, the habits will continue. So in that video, he was talking about, he mentioned, because I mentioned state, I brought up state. Because state control when you're calling is essential. It's easy to get kind of scowl-faced and like tense because like none of it's working. Like, you've left 35 messages and, it's a numbers game. It's like 1 in 40 are going to book. So that means you might go 60 numbers without a good call and then 2 good calls back to back. And so fuck, man, how are you going to maintain state? Because you don't know which call it's going to be. So you got to like maintain state through all of them. And so he's like, well, what is state? Because it's for YouTube. He's like, what is state? And I came up with some cool definition on the spot. It was, how would you describe the quality of your beingness in that moment in time? That's state. And that's not official, but roll call on Instagram. So show a comment if you're on Instagram, so we know which are the people on right now. I want to know who's on, or don't, you don't have to, but I want to. So state, like at the beginning of this show, like actually right before click record, I was like, what are 2 or 3 areas that you would describe you are evolving right now? Like you are, new discoveries are happening for you right now in those areas. And, so I named a few things, Akash named a few things, and then people named a few things. What was interesting about the difference between Akash and I and everybody else's is everybody else named negative things that they were making discoveries in. What is negative? It means like if you were to experience that and only that for the rest of your life, you would wish it was something else. You would immediately think of something better. Self-doubt, self-sabotaging, fear. What are some of these others that were said? Some others that were said. Versus me, I'm saying self-image, tonality, and self-esteem. Or self-image, tonality, and communication techniques. These are the areas that I'm evolving. So make sure that your personal evolution is in forward direction. Don't be evolving in the negative direction. I don't want to evolve my awareness of fear. Like, it's, like becoming aware of fear. Okay, somebody said they're evolving, I think, at letting go. That's cool. Maybe it was you, Akash. I forget who it was. Letting go. It was, I think you were saying like shedding. What were the 3 that you chose?
Yeah, mine were shedding, refining, And the last one escapes me right now. It'll come to me eventually.
Yeah. So discernment. If I wanted to analyze fear and like chop it up and be like, I understand fear like on so many different levels right now, I wouldn't be like I'm aware of fear. I'm saying I'm aware of discernment, or my discernment has evolved. I'm getting more and more clear about, when am I in an undesirable state versus a desirable, and the more clear, because then honesty becomes like the next thing. I'm evolving in honesty with myself because I'm discerning, but am I real with myself? Like, I don't like this situation. I do, man, the other day I violated BC. That sounds weird when I say it like that. I socially, we got a language in the social dynamics arts, guys, and it's called like social violation, like, other violations. So social violation, people do it all the time. Like you're not even aware. I've been studying this shit for 4 years already, and I was a doctor, very intelligent, and it's like social violations run deep because mom and dad violated us with their, with their not caring about our opinions when it mattered, that's hard. I'm not saying it's easy to do that. Anyway, so I did something and I didn't realize it had affected BC until I just looked at it from a very simple attraction repulsion kind of idea. That did he come closer? Did he move away? And what happened was he moved away. He went over to his computer room and it was specifically like cause effect. Like I did something, he did that. And so despite whatever the words are on top of it, all the basic is I did an action, he moved away from me. That's called an indicator of disinterest. Then if you were to really look at it from like an alien's perspective or a third person perspective and his facial expression, like I violated him. That was hella uncomfortable for me to do what I did, but I did it because it was new. And I went up and it was like, hey, did I do this? Is this offending you? This blah, 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 blah. I pushed through it, a few sentences, a little bit of stagnant energy in my emotions, pushed through that static. It freed up a little bit and resolved. And it probably would have resolved anyway, but it would have gotten buried. We both come from these hard-nosed families, military families, him and I, where it's like, you don't got to talk about that shit. That's not important to the mission at hand. But listen, the mission at hand is mastery of communication, because modern masculinity is not about brute force as much. Like, I think that's needed. We should tell the story about the guy with PTSD in San Jose that we came across. I think that force is needed and I admire it, but that's only going to get you so far in the modern industrial society. You must be able to communicate. And, it's one kind of fearlessness that can run into battle and throw a grenade. It's another kind of fearlessness that can tackle a static situation that that communication is not flowing. If you all don't agree with me, then I've interacted with enough people to know that most people have this in them where it's like when there's static in the air, you don't want to confront it. And the kind of fearlessness it takes to communicate through that, and then the skill set to make it resolve, is essential. And this is what I love talking about. So I'll hand it over to Josh. What's your thought, bro?
Yeah, brother, that brings up a lot. And I've realized more and more how people don't have the ability to talk through some of these things, and it hinders them. Where some might see a situation at hand that's a standoff, I see a huge opportunity for me to throw in and work my skills. And it's like I'm a bomb squad guy, it's like cut the blue wire and like everything explodes and like you're just like fuck. And then like you cut the red wire and it's like you totally diffuse the situation. And that's kind of what you're doing in these very high pressure, tense situations between people within an organization or some such thing. Because if you say something wrong, you could really throw everything out of whack and even do more damage than what was already done. So it's really, really important to really refine these skills. And that's why I think it's really interesting how you chose those words, as these are the things that I'm continuing on my path. Because it shows that level of understanding and dedication to this craft. I mean, anything that you ever want to get done in life is done through communication, whether it be communication to yourself or communication to others. The most powerful thing, persuasion is important in every single aspect of life. It's just a basic. So it's very, very important to refine these skills to continue to get what you want. Quick shout out to RB Arroyo, one of my brothers, a Mason as well. So yeah, brother, I turn it back over to you. I mean, I think there's a lot of richness that you continue to provide, and I continue to learn every single day from you. So
Man, I want to fucking teach right now. Like, if you think this is good, I'm not even teaching yet. Like, I would love to go into the teachings of it. I would love to. Normally, I would have a silent flute lecture. Shit, man. I told them I wouldn't do it today. Now I'm realizing I could do it because that would be taking place in 20 minutes if it was taking place. I might do it. I don't know. Angelica, Dr. Ace is on silent flute. What do you think? Should I? I told everybody I wouldn't, but I have the voice for it now. I don't know. Do I, or do I wait until Monday like I said I was going to? Silent flute, I give 2 lectures a week. I would love to give a lecture inside of the Enlightened Masculinity, as long as people show up. You know, in the Science of Spiritual Growth, tons of people show up. 20 people show up to the lecture. Go to the Enlightened Masculinity, and y'all are a bunch of chumps except for Mercer Sarah. Mercer Sarah is dedicated to his growth. Mercer Sarah sees that, I'm not happy with where it is. I'm going to show up and see what that's all about. And Mercer Sarah got hella value. So surprise lecture. Dr. A says, do a surprise lecture. Do it. Okay. Maybe I'll eat some cereal and do it because my voice. I was up until like 4:30, guys. It's 10. That's no excuse. Now I hear myself bitching, like, fuck that. Get that out of it. Mercer Sarah says, I used to be, and we'll just go like maybe 5-10 more minutes. Just kind of, you guys got any questions or something, type it. Why we do that, the duration is we've researched from the internet that 25 to 30 minutes is the ideal podcast time. And so if you're catching this recording on iTunes, leave us a review, screenshot it, send it to me. I got a special gift for you that I'm not giving out. It's a video, and it's going to give you technique. And that goes for all of you online right now. Find us on iTunes. It's under Science of Peace right now. Actually, go ahead and do that. Man, I need to look at what my apprentice did because we're shifting it over to a new platform so it will actually be the Enlightened Masculinity podcast on iTunes. But if you find it at Science of Peace, do it that way. I'll still get you, a gift. And so 25 to 30 minutes. So we'll wrap it up. If you got any comments, questions, now's the time. Just like, whatever it is. Mirza Sarah, I used to be that person who doesn't want to be told anything, but I am challenging myself to accept what people say and consider. Accept what certain people say. Not everybody. A minority. You know how if you were in a room of 10 people, there's going to be like 2 or 3 people that are really the smart ones. And most of the people are below average intelligence. You know that old saying, it's really funny. It used to make me laugh a lot, where it was like, the normal average intelligence of people? And you're like, yeah. And you're like, okay, well, did you know that half of people are dumber than that? It's like, so you don't want to listen to those people. So, the people that you want to be like, listen to them. Now, there are people like, let's say, I don't want to be like my girlfriend, but, and most of her advice I wouldn't listen to, but there's a truth to her advice, the emotions behind it that are really indicating and reflecting kind of who I'm being in that moment. Because I have such a trust and rapport with her, a consistency that when something is thrown up in her system, I will look at myself and say, what am I doing? Classic would be like if I'm getting angry and she's getting upset. And so I'll check in with my tone. Like, I can do that with everybody, but a lot of people are funky soundboards. They're not really a good reflection. But my girl has shown through years together, we're 2.5 years now, working on 3, that she's a good sounding board. I want to keep her around forever as my sounding board. One of them. And, it's her choice if she leaves, but I think she'll stay because we're like this. So I hand it over to Akash. Any closing thoughts while people type their thing?
Yeah, closing thoughts, I guess areas of growth for me are I just taught my first yoga class to my company just this past Thursday, and that's to continue every Thursday now. So every Thursday I've got that, the Truth Be Told podcast with Fernando Caro, a real estate agent in the LA area. Later today, I'll be doing a yoga hike, a sunset yoga hike is what I call it. So we go out into the woods, hike for a bit, yoga for about an hour, hike back, and enjoy sunset. So that's growing out. And then tomorrow we've got Sunset Club. So go up to Eagle Rock Reservation, get a beautiful, beautiful view of New York City in the background, and and really just watch the sunset, bringing together the most interesting, brilliant, and innovative people in the area to really talk and enjoy life.
Man, you got some of your company people coming out there. That's going to be dope. That's going to grow. I know it. Man, I want to tell you, Fernando was actually at the event last night with Arash and Vince. And I talked him into, and a few people, they chipped in. They chipped in for an advanced lecture from Arash. He had his girlfriend there, one of them. And so we're walking there, and I run into this guy that I used to know. I was like, ooh, I smell some good weed. He had some good weed. I got him to, share it with me. We start smoking in the street. And, but we're taking too long. And he's like, oh, I'm going to join. So he chipped in, some money to hear Arash speak on the nature of male-female relationships. It was so dope. So as we're finishing, he's taking too long. And I see two honeys there walking around the corner. I'm like, hey, you want to help us finish this? Because we got to go. And so they came over. Long story short, they follow us into Dream Hotel, which is a 5-star hotel. We go into the lounge. I get them everybody a drink, whatever. We're hanging out. We're waiting for Arash to show up. So for like 20 minutes, I'm entertaining everybody. Then Arash shows up, and he's a heavily tattooed guy. He's got a gorgeous, stunning, just like girlfriend, just like she stands out. And she stands out. Like it's not a normal girl. Like she stands out. And he stands out. And so what are we, like 12 people? Like we're all going to sit around this one person. He's going to be lecturing in the lounge of this 5-star hotel. Yes. So I need to prepare these two girls because I know they're going to throw up some obstacles when this starts to happen. So I tell them, okay, this is what's going to happen. We're going to sit around this guy. He's going to be talking. It's going to be like kind of high level, like frequency information, just like he's an orator. Like I'm just framing it for them. The one is getting juiced about it. She's like, this is perfect for me. The other one is like, got the sour face on and whatever. So I calm her nerves a little bit. I get more interested in her. Anybody in the silent flute, I dissolve myself. I use that technique and this comforts her. So we finally go and sit down. Arash starts lecturing. His communication totally repels the one and attracts the other. So that's great. And, for an hour and a half, it just unloads like, gold, just incredible stuff. And it was just super, super fascinating. So much of it was speaking to it was a sub-communication to me and her, in that situation. So I was learning on a new level. So we take her home. I'm with BC and Pete Kirkwood, the real Pete Kirkwood from New Zealand. And we're driving home. We drop her off, go home. We finish our night. Then I call my girlfriend for like an hour and we have a new level of communication. And it's just amazing. Dr. Ace, you're on. Just go ahead and comment. Was it amazing? I'm still amazed at what I said. It was like, shit, these analogies, where are they coming from? Like this awareness of your experience of life. I'm empathizing with my girlfriend. It's fascinating to me. Yes, it was beautiful. And this has been happening, Dr. Ace. Like the other day I wish I had gotten you to talk about it sooner because you may not remember, but I like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes the other day, I talked in story format and it was just a total mind fuck. When you start putting yourself as a character inside a story and just talk about the story and not yourself, it's easy to do things with your character that you would limit yourself from doing. So storytelling is so fascinating to me and I'm really getting good at it. So I'm going to go live for the silent flute and see if anybody shows up. It's last minute. So I'll start that in 15 minutes. If you're interested in joining the silent flute, go to ninthlimb.com, number 9, THLIMB, and you'll find all the information about my silent flute program, even though that probably needs to be updated a little bit. Or just send me a message. It's probably for you. If you think it's for you, it's probably for you. Try it out. $157 a month. Man, you're wasting that money on $5 a day coffee. Like, come and I'll give you some coffee in your brain, your mind, and your thinking processes. You'll be high and elevated, and you'll carry that with you the rest of your fucking life. The coffee will pass through you in 4 hours. So that's what I have to say about that. Do we do it at the same time tomorrow? Is 9 a.m. Pacific? Can I commit to that? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I will. I'm here, 9 a.m. tomorrow. And my time, 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. your time if you're on the East Coast or wherever in between. You figure it out. So Akash, any closing words? I know I took over again. I want to hand it back over. What would you have to say for everybody, if anything at all? Could even be just like a namaste.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful word to go out on for sure. Thank you. Awesome. You're welcome, I'll say. And